I never imagined that coming home early would expose the darkest betrayal of my life. I stood motionless in the hallway, my fingers locked around the handle of my suitcase so tightly that my hands began to ache. My name is Alicia. I'm 32 years old, a mother, and I thought I was doing something sweet by surprising my family. I changed my flight and arrived 2 days ahead of schedule, picturing my son's face lighting up when he saw me. That dream collapsed the moment I pushed open my son's bedroom door. The bed was empty, cold, untouched. Panic rushed through me as I called my mother, demanding to know where Austin was. She answered calmly, too calmly, and told me he was asleep at my sister Brenda's house, enjoying a fun sleepover before a planned outing the next day. The lie was obvious. Brenda hated children. She had never once allowed Austin inside her home. I didn't argue. I ran. As I sped toward Brenda's house, I opened the tracking app connected to Austin's smartwatch. My breath stopped when the screen loaded. The blue dot wasn't near her home or anywhere close. It was blinking in the middle of the city cemetery. At 1 a.m., I floored the gas pedal, terror clawing through my chest. When my headlights swept across the cemetery gates, I slammed on the brakes. Gravel screamed beneath my tires as I jumped out, leaving the engine running. I sprinted through rows of headstones, the wind cutting my face, my eyes burning as I refused to blink. Then I saw her. Brenda was leaning against her car beneath a massive oak tree, smoking calmly, as if she were waiting for a friend. And next to her, my son. Austin was tied to a rusted iron fence with thick rope, sitting on the frozen ground with his knees pulled to his chest. Duct tape sealed his mouth. His lips were blue. 2 packed suitcases stood beside him. He looked up and froze. Then his eyes filled with tears when he recognized me. Brenda didn't look ashamed. She looked proud. She flicked her cigarette to the ground and smirked. "I'm teaching him survival," she said coldly. "You need to focus on selling the house. He's a distraction." That was the moment something inside me snapped. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I attacked. I slammed her into her car, shoved her to the ground, and shielded Austin with my body as I tore the tape from his mouth and untied the rope. My hands shook, but my focus never left him. Then red and blue lights exploded across the cemetery. Police cars flooded in. I had called emergency services the second I saw his location. Officers rushed forward, guns drawn, and ordered Brenda to the ground. She screamed, cursed, blamed me. They cuffed her anyway. I wrapped Austin in my coat, lifted him into my arms, and felt his heart racing against my chest. I held him as the patrol car drove away, making a silent promise that no one would ever hurt him again. 3 hours later, we sat in a hospital room surrounded by monitors and antiseptic smells. Doctors confirmed mild hypothermia and severe emotional trauma. Austin flinched at every sound. Then my mother arrived. She didn't look at Austin. She accused me. "You called the police on your own sister over a prank." I played the recording of her lie from earlier that night. She didn't deny it. Instead, she cried and begged me to forgive Brenda, claiming she owed dangerous people money and needed help. That was the end of our relationship. I told her to leave. Security escorted her out. The next morning, my husband David arrived from his business trip and pulled us into his arms. We reviewed security footage later that day and saw the truth. Brenda had used a spare key, the one my mother had given her. She hadn't been looking for clothes or toys. She was searching for property documents. She wanted us to sell the house to cover her gambling debts. 2 days later, my mother posted bail for her. The harassment began immediately. Rumors spread. Messages flooded in. People stared at me in public like I was the villain. Then I ran into them at the grocery store. Brenda blocked my path and screamed that I abused my son, that everything was a setup. I didn't back down. "The only abuser," I said loudly, "is the woman who tied an 8-year-old boy to a fence in a graveyard." The crowd went silent. They fled. We upgraded security, hired protection, prepared for the worst. 1 week later, Brenda broke into our home. She thought we were gone. She was wrong. Police caught her in the act, crowbar in hand, screaming about jealousy, inheritance, and hate. She confessed everything on camera. At trial, her lawyer begged for sympathy. The jury didn't buy it. The verdict: guilty on all counts. The sentence: 15 years in prison. The judge also issued a permanent restraining order against my mother. 6 months later, we sold the house and moved to North Carolina. Brenda's inheritance was seized to pay for Austin's therapy. She walked away with nothing. Austin healed. He swims. He laughs. He sleeps without fear. One day, a letter arrived from prison. I didn't open it. I burned it. Because family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by who protects you when the world turns dark. And I will always choose my son.